Vedant?
Good afternoon, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Hello, ma'am. Good afternoon.
Hi guys, good afternoon.
So we can start.
Cool.
I request the moderator for today's session, Khushi Mukhi, to kindly start. Apologies, ma'am. The moderator is connecting with the audio. She will take just half a
No
minute.
problem. No problem at all.
I'd just like to confirm that I'm audible.
Yes, you are.
Good afternoon to all our esteemed dignitaries and participants present here. I'm Khushi Mukhi, a member of the Center for Women, Child Rights and Gender Justice's Media and Events Wing, and I have the honor of moderating today's session. I would like to begin by extending a very hearty and warm welcome to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Sir Professor Dilip Uke in his absentia, and respected Registrar, Sir Professor Dr. Anil Varyat in his absentia. We are grateful for that encouragement and support in conducting today's webinar. I would also like to welcome our chief guest, Dr. Arushi Kehal Malutra, coordinator of the Center for Women, Child Rights and Gender Justice, Professor Dr. Karuna Akshay Malviya, ma'am, Joint Coordinator, Assistant Professor Shriya Mukta, ma'am, convener, Mr. Vedant Vaishali Jayant, and my peers to this national webinar on the subject of sustainable menstruation, organized by the Center for Women, Child Rights and Gender Justice of Maharashtra National Law University, Mumbai. Sustainable menstruation has emerged as a concern around the globe due to a colossal number of sanitary napkins and other menstrual products being disposed of every year. In India alone, a 2018 report by WaterAid India and Menstrual Hygiene Alliance of India suggested that nearly 1 billion sanitary napkins are used and disposed of in our country alone annually. Their non biodegradable nature and chemical composition suggests that complete disintegration of these products may take anywhere between 500 to 800 years. In light of this problem, we can now see a shift towards more eco friendly and sustainable alternatives across the globe. To further acquaint us on this very subject, we have in our midst our chief guest, Dr. Arushi Kehal Malutra, who is not only the Senior Manager for Research, Advocacy and Wellness, but also the leader of Sirona Hygiene Foundation's Sustainable Menstruation Drive. Before proceeding further, I would like to shed some light on our esteemed institution and the Center for Women, Child Rights and Gender Justice. The Maharashtra National Law University, Mumbai, is one of the country's premier law institutions. The university imparts advanced legal knowledge under the able guidance and mentorship of the university's chancellor, Justice Dr. D.Y. Chandrachud, an honorable judge of the Supreme Court. We have established this center in MNLU Mumbai to promote research, academic collaboration, to create an environment for a gender just society through collaboration with government agencies by organizing programs, training, and spreading awareness to all sections of society. Additionally, we are honored to mention that we also provide free legal aid to those women and gender minorities in need. Before we commence today's session, I request all the participants to kindly keep their microphones on mute. And now, I would like to request Assistant Professor Shriya Mukta ma'am, the Joint Coordinator of the Center, to give the welcome address.
Thank you, Khushi. Honorable Vice Chancellor, Maharashtra National Law University, Professor Dilip Ukheji. Esteemed Registrar, Maharashtra National Law University, Mumbai, Professor Anil Vediatji. Coordinator of Center of Women, Child Rights and Gender Justice, Dr. Karuna Akshay Malviyaji. Our esteemed panelist, Dr. Arushi Kehal Malhotraji. Senior Manager for Research, Advocacy and Wellness, Leader of Sustainable Menstruation Drive, Sirona Hygiene Foundation, Worthy and esteemed faculty of Maharashtra National Law University, galaxy of intellectual participants who have joined today's online panel discussion on theme Sustainable Menstruation with enthusiasm and interactive spirit, a very good afternoon to one and all present. I am the Joint Coordinator of Center of Women, Child Rights and Gender Justice, and it's my great delight to offer you all a very warm welcome to this national seminar on sustainable menstruation. Firstly, if we look at UNICEF study, 60% of girls in India, they miss out school on account of menstruation. 79% they face low confidence due to menstruation, and 44% are embarrassed and humiliated over restrictions. More than 77% of menstruating girls and women in India, they use old cloth, which is often reused. They use ashes, newspapers, dried leaves, and sand during their periods. There have been a lot of initiatives which the government has taken to spread awareness. Like we have the Sabla program, which is taken by Ministry of Women and Child Development. Then we have Jan Aushadhi, Suvidha Oxo biodegradable sanitary napkins, menstrual hygiene management, which is also an integral part of that of Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. However, menstruation health cannot be achieved only through government efforts without addressing it as a social issue. This will require intervention at societal, community, and family level. That is why we are having this national level seminar to gain knowledge as well as with the motto of spreading awareness. Yes, so now let's get started. Vedant, over to you. Okay, Khushi, over to you.
Thank you, ma'am, for your very warm welcome. As you rightly mentioned, the responsibility lies with all of us. And now, for the much anticipated section of this webinar, I would like to introduce our esteemed chief guest for today, Dr. Arushi Kehal Malutra, who was born and brought up in a family of educators and doctors and completed her education from Delhi NCR. Her vast journey in the space of public health began with her work in a startup where she was responsible for curating a curriculum for school students to facilitate them in inculcating healthy habits through their daily lives. She has led a plethora of oral and breast cancer screening and awareness programs spanning across several cities in the country. Presently, she is working extensively in the fields of menstrual hygiene and sustainable menstruation. Thank you for taking your time, Dr. Malhotra. I'm honored to invite you to begin your presentation on sustainable menstruation for all our eager attendees. Following which, we will have a short question and answer session. Therefore, kindly save all your questions for the end. Thank you.
So thank you so much, guys, for taking out your time to come and talk to, me and invite us over to have this session. So before I begin, can I please request everyone to turn on their cameras because, just so that we don't feel there's a screen between all of us. If I would have got a chance, I would have just flown to Bombay to do this session for you guys. But I think because of the pandemic and the circumstances, it's a little difficult. So just like a tiny request, if we could just see each other, say hi, and just feel more connected. Otherwise it's just I don't want this to be just another webinar that you guys would attend. Rather, I think why not make this 1 hour really transforming into something value creating for both of us, so just that tiny request, if I could really see all of you and say hi, it'll be a great thing to do.
Okay, enable your cameras, please. Nalotpal.
Wow, thank you so much. Great. So also a big thank you to all the guys who are attending this webinar. Just makes me feel like change has begun somewhere. Where young men are actually coming forward to know more about menstruation, sustainable menstruation, I think you guys are going to be protagonist and vocal in bringing about change at the grassroots levels also. So thank you very very much to each one of you for coming out and attending this webinar to know about sustainable menstruation. So I'll divide the session into two parts. In the first part, I would just like to talk about very basic things about the reproductive system, about how periods happen, the biology, the anatomy behind periods, and also a bit about how you maintain your health during your periods, right? The purpose of talking about how your body looks like, I think it is very important for us to know, and when we will know, we will be able to connect to the next part of the session more. So that's why I want to touch upon that. So before I get there, I want to ask all of you this question. Have we seen or drawn these huge diagrams of the reproductive system on the blackboard or in our notebooks when we were in school? Do we remember those huge diagrams? In the chat box, or you can just unmute yourself, say a yes or a no, or say a yes or a no in the chat box. Okay. Okay, so do you think it actually looks that huge? Do you think the reproductive system is actually that huge? Right, absolutely not. Okay, so I'll introduce this to you. This is a reproductive system anatomical model, which is life-sized, which means all the parts that are shown in this model are actually this size, which means the uterus is only this big and not like the whole huge round thing that we used to make on the blackboard. Okay, so just quickly to tell you all the parts of the reproductive system, this bubble, if you see, this is the uterus. This white tiny part is the cervix, which is also the opening of the uterus. This pink part is the vaginal canal. This is the vaginal opening. These two are the ovaries, and these are the fallopian tubes. So can you guys tell me, uh, when a bird has to lay eggs, what does it do? Before a bird has to lay eggs, what is it that they do? How do they prepare themselves to lay eggs? सोचो सोचो, एक चिड़िया एग्स ले करने से पहले क्या करती है, कैसे प्रिपेयर करती है? Exactly. So it collects materials to build a nest. That is exactly how the uterus also does. It prepares itself for a pregnancy every month to happen. A pregnancy does not happen every month, takes 9 months for one pregnancy to mature. Right? So what happens is every month this uterus lines itself with all the necessary material required for a child to be nurtured here. But because a pregnancy does not happen every month, uh, this this entire preparation has to be shed out, right? And when it sheds out, this is the process when menstruation happens, when periods happen, right? An average menstrual cycle is about 28 days. A normal menstrual cycle can last from 21 to 40 days. Okay, so for example, if a menstruating person has her period on 1st of January, she might end up having her period on 10th of February, the next period, which means she has a 40-day cycle, right? So if I start comparing my periods with my friends, with my sister, with my colleagues, all of us will get confused of what is normal and what is not normal. We will just end up thinking we are the most abnormal women on the face of the earth, because हमें तो periods 20 days को आते हैं, किसी को 30 days को आते हैं, किसी को 27 को आते हैं, right? So anything which is between 21 to 40 days It is perfectly fine. You are perfectly normal. These are perfectly normal. This is a normal menstrual cycle that you have. How do you track your menstrual cycle? I would suggest, now of course there are many apps available. There's no harm in tracking your own period for a couple of months, so that you know what you know how long your cycle lasts, right? To know your normal, your personal normal. Okay. So it is not a bad idea to actually track your period. There's nothing bad about tracking your period. Rather, to know what your normal is, it's perfectly fine to go on and start tracking your period. So guys, any questions or anything anyone wants to share or ask? Or okay, so moving forward to how you can take care of your own health during periods. And to do that, I have divided this into 5 P's. Okay, I call it the 5 P rule for periods. Okay, out of this 5 P rule, the first P is palm. The palm. I think COVID has taught us in a big way to wash our hands, right? So when do we wash our hands? When we need to change our period product. Mostly what we hear and what we know is we need to wash our hands after we've changed our period product, but it is equally important to wash your hands before you change your period product. And why? Because the period product that you are using, for example a sanitary napkin, that is already sterilized when it is packed, right? When we touch that product without washing our hands, we are exposing the product to all the microorganisms present on our palms, right? So we need to wash our hands before we change our product, and of course after we have changed we need to wash our hands. The second P is the product. Okay, any product you choose to use, important is to use it mindfully, right? Every product is safe, is good, is meant to be used, but they need to be used mindfully. For example, a sanitary pad, on a heavy flow day you need to change that pad every 4 to 6 hours. On a normal flow day you can change it after every 6 to 8 hours, right? Again, same is with a tampon or a menstrual cup that you use. No period product shall be used beyond 8 hours. Okay. So this is about product. The third P is proper disposal. Okay, when we use a period product, the menstrual fluid that comes out of this uterus, one, it is not only blood. Okay, there are times when we see these clots, when we feel, oh, I think my period blood has clotted, or there's some sort of clotting that has happened in my uterus. We see that because this lining is tissue. Okay, and this is not just blood. There are other fluids also that are present here, right? But there's also some component of blood that is involved. So this product that we use, we need to dispose it properly, so that we don't expose neither ourselves to any sort of infections or any sort of microorganisms that grow and thrive on the product. Neither do we want to expose the person who's actually segregating that waste, right? They are equally at risk, right? So one of the while I was taking this session for some MCD safai karamchari, and we were talking, and in a conversation they mentioned that the reason for clogging of drains during monsoon, a big reason is sanitary napkins or diapers. Okay, and why is it? Because these diapers and sanitary napkins contain this component called the sap, which is a super absorbent polymer. And when we throw these into open, they end up going into the drains and clogging them. Okay, whoever has tried, or whoever has ever got wet in the rain while using a sanitary napkin would know how heavy the napkin becomes. When a lot of water gets soaked there, it just becomes so heavy. but it keeps soaking water because of the sap that is used there, right? So proper disposal is important. Let's try and carry some paper, some waste papers, some paper bags. We also get sanitary napkin disposal bags that can be used for proper disposal of these sanitary napkins, right? So the third was proper disposal. The fourth is pain. How many of us experience period pain? In a yes or a no, do we experience period pain? Right, we do. So why do we experience this period pain? The first thing which I want to cover here. So this uterus has to shed the lining that has become thickened here, which it thought a pregnancy would happen, but it never happened. So now this lining has to shed, right? So to shed this lining, the uterus expands and contracts when there is a release of this hormone called prostaglandin from the uterus, right? So this expansion and contraction actually makes us feel cramps, makes us feel the pain that we have. Two things about pain. Period pain is absolutely normal. If you have pain on some days of your period, some women have it on the first and the second day, some have it on the third and the fourth day. Very personal to or like very unique to every woman. But if this pain is something which you are able to adjust with, which you are able to manage through through very basic things like a hot water bottle or green teas or chocolates, or even if you end up taking one or two painkillers on 2 days, it is normal. The second thing about period pain, if you are experiencing period pain which is hampering your daily life, which is there on all days of your period, which is making you feel nauseated, which is making you feel dizzy, because of which you start having fever, that pain has to be addressed, right? Please do not ignore that pain. Please don't think that मेरी फैमिली के में हिस्ट्री में कभी किसी दादी नानी चाची कभी किसी को वो पेन होता था तो इसलिए मुझे भी होता है. Okay, that pain should not be ignored, right? So these are the two things about period pain. So if pain is something that you are able to manage, if that pain is there on some days of the cycle, it is normal. If the pain is unbearable, you are fainting, you are nauseated, you are vomiting, you have fever, then that needs to be addressed. Please do not ignore that pain. Okay, now the fifth P of periods. So before I get to the fifth P of period, have we heard people say this to us, where they mention and they kind of advise us not to have cold things, sour things, hot things, खट्टा मत खाओ, ठंडा मत खाओ, period flow बढ़ जाएगा. Have you heard of this? Have you heard people say this to us? Right. Okay. So I think many of us have heard this, where people have come and told us, ठंडा मत खाओ, खट्टा मत खाओ, गरम मत खाओ, flow बढ़ जाएगा. ठीक है? So once and for all, the fifth P is the period between the periods. Okay, the period between the periods means, kind of uh, uh, will determine the kind of period that you will have, not the 5 days in which of your period where you choose to have your favorite chocolates or your favorite coffee or your favorite ice cream. That will not determine your flow at all, right? What you choose as your lifestyle habits in the period between one and the second period is what will determine the health of your period, right? In fact, your overall health. Okay, so nothing that you do in the 5 days of your period will suddenly start affecting your periods. That won't happen. ठीक है? So ठंडा खाओ, खट्टा खाओ, मीठा खाओ, गरम पियो, thanda piyo, cold coffee piyo, anything that makes you feel nicer, comfortable, happier, please do that. Okay? Great. So any questions up till now, guys? Anything anyone wants to share? Anything we've heard and we want to clarify?
I had one question. So there's a lot of debate regarding exercising on your period. So is
Right.
there any like concrete advice that you would give us? Do you think it's recommended or not?
See, moderate exercise is recommended. Okay. Also, it is it is up to the menstruating person how much exercise they want to do, how much are they feeling comfortable about it, right? If someone feels comfortable in lifting weights, please go ahead and do it. It will not affect your period in any way, right? Let's kind of come to that understanding. uh for example, if we do something that we suddenly start doing, will our breath get affected? It won't, right? Periods are as normal as breathing for women. Okay, it's a very normal physiological function of the female reproductive of female in the reproductive age group, right? So as long as we as menstruators are feeling comfortable about any sort of exercise, please go ahead and do it, right? uh I mean, we have a basket of choices available in terms of the product that we choose. uh so I think it is getting even more and more comfortable to work out when you're on your period. Okay.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Any other question? Anything we've heard and we want to kind of clarify that? Anyone? Or shall we move ahead? Okay.
Ma'am, I think Tanisha wants to speak. Tanisha,
Yes.
you're not audible.
Okay. Tanisha, maybe you can write in the chat box if that's okay. In the meantime, does anyone else want to know? Okay. So, how does one go about choosing a menstrual product? It is again a personal choice. Right. So, considering the lack of awareness about menstrual cups, tampons, etc., I think today I'll try to clarify as many doubts as I can about menstrual cups. And also, how do you go about choosing a menstrual product? I think when we try things, we know what works for us. And what is that something which makes us feel comfortable. The second thing is we really need to be aware of any sort of uh, pre any sort of problem or any sort of uh, thing like an endometriosis or a vaginosis that we might be aware of already. We need to keep those things also in mind. For example, many women who have endometriosis have problems using a menstrual cup because they feel pain even more. So it is advised that they switch to a product. Of course, switching to sustainable menstruation also means there are a basket of choices available. So I think we are in a very very fortunate age and era where there are a basket of choices available. When we try, and also when once we know any sort of medical issue, that a medical problem that we have, that is something we need to be aware of before choosing that product, right? So I think from the basket of choices, it is important to keep trying something till we find the best one for ourselves, right? Tanisha, did that answer your question? Done. So, guys, I think shall we move forward if no one has anything to ask? Yeah. Great. So now let's get to the next section of the session where I would want to talk about sustainable menstruation. So can someone tell me what sustainable means? Can you tell me the meaning of sustainable? Uh, Khushi, can I share my screen if that's okay?
Yes, absolutely. Manohar, sir, can you allow Dr. Arushi to share her screen, please?
Okay, I can share my screen. Just a second. Okay. So guys, can you see my screen? Can everyone see my
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So talking about sustainable menstruation, the actual meaning of sustainable menstruation is somewhere where we refer to or we choose using practices that are more environment friendly, and using products that do not produce waste. But through my sessions or through the sessions that we take about sustainable menstruation, I think the reason why someone or a menstruator should choose a more sustainable option is because of is from three point of views, and it could be very different for different women. For example, if I go to a community there, why they would choose a sustainable option, or place where they do not have enough resources, why they choose sustainable option like a menstrual cup, which can be reused for many years, is because one, it is convenient. Second, they don't have to buy it, right? For them the only aspect would be cost, and the second would be the health of the menstruators, right? uh, Again, for someone who is educated, urban, thinks about the planet, for them environment might be a motivator, right? For someone who's an athlete, comfort might be a motivator, health might be a motivator, right? So when we talk of sustainability or when we talk of sustainable menstruation, I think three point of views are something that should be kept in mind while we make a choice, or while we choose something that is sustainable, right? So I'll again share my screen. Okay. So guys, just like a very little fact check, and maybe we can interact through this more. The first question that I want to ask you guys is, how much waste do you think we generate every year? How much waste, in general waste, not just biodegradable waste or the decomposable waste, how much waste do you think we generate every year? Any guesses?
100 kgs per person.
Okay, 5 billion tons. Okay. So about 43 million tons of waste is what we generate every year. The next question is, how many menstruators do you think are there in India? Guys, I can't see your chat box or your answers, so it'll be helpful if you could unmute yourself and say them. How many people in India?
389 million.
Sorry?
Some 360 some million. 365, 366.
Okay, so 355 million menstruators are there in India. Out of these 355 million, how much percent of menstruators do you think have access to sanitary pads?
1/3, around a third.
27%.
Okay, about 36% have access to sanitary pads.
Yeah.
Now, if 355 million menstruators have access, and out of those only 36% have access to sanitary pads, how many sanitary pads do you think end up in the landfill every year?
1 billion.
Okay, there are about 7 billion sanitary napkins that end up in the landfill every year. Uh, so abhi sir 36% have access, or 7 billion sanitary pads end up in the landfill. Imagine if all 355 get access to sanitary pads. I think we'll only see sanitary pads flying here and there, and not leaves and dust and all of those. So one sanitary napkin takes how many years to biodegrade?
A few hundred years.
Right. It takes about 500 to 800 years to biodegrade. How much plastic do you think one sanitary napkin has? How much plastic equivalent to plastic bags? Dash number of plastic bags is equal to one sanitary napkin.
7.
3.
Close. Three is close. 4 plastic bags, make one sanitary napkin. Guys, do you now think there's a need to make a switch?
Absolutely.
Do you think we should make a switch? At least we should start thinking in that direction, right? Great. So coming to the next aspect, which is of the health of the menstruator. So, so people who use sanitary napkins, I was one of them. Have we ever experienced any sort of rashes, any itching, odor, uh, you know, uh, from the sanitary napkins? Have you ever experienced itching after using the sanitary pad? I have. Like I've had a crazy experience there. Okay. Uh the reason for why all of this happens is there are chemicals that go into processing the material used in making these pads, right? There are petroleum residues that are used. The cotton which is used in the pad is has to be treated, so acetone is used to treat that cotton. Okay. All sorts of fragrances that go into the pad, right? And of course sap, super absorbent polymer, right? That also goes into making the sanitary pad, right? uh, I think everyone who has a packet of sanitary pads, after the session, just go and do this one thing for me, right? Pick up the sanitary pad, turn it around, and try to look for the ingredients that go into making it. You will never find any ingredient there on the packet. Okay. So you guys know law better than me, but uh, as per the guidelines, everything that is sold in the market should have ingredients, or like all the things that have gone into making it at the backside of the packet on a label. But this is an exception for sanitary pads. Okay. So I think all of you should go back, after the session, go back and turn the packet and see what has gone into making it. You will not find even a single thing that is a single chemical that goes into treating these products to make them fit for use ever mentioned there on that packet. Okay. So I think for the health of the menstruator, it is important we make a switch, right, from these from the over the counter sanitary pads that are there. Yeah, Adi, tell me.
Ma'am, why is there an exception for sanitary pads? Like, why is it allowed? Who gave that exception? Of course, the government, but why?
I don't know. I think that is something that you guys should research on as budding lawyers. I think we can really together work on this sort of a research as to why this has happened. Okay. So now I think it is a use case enough to relate to why do we need to make a switch for the health of the menstruator, right? To name a few chemicals that go into treating it, one is acetone, which I mentioned. There's chloroethane. It is the same material that goes into making the thermocol cups, right? The disposable ones. That also is a material that is used to treat the top layer, the bottom layer of the pad, like which is all plastic. Okay. So I think a use case enough to make us at least think to make a switch for for our own health, right? Talking about the cost aspect of sustainable menstruation, or why should we choose something which is more sustainable in terms of cost? So one decent quality sanitary napkin costs some 5 to 12 rupees. And an average menstruating woman uses some 16,000 sanitary pads in her lifetime. So now please do the math to understand the amount of money that we've been spending, right, on our menstruation product, which is causing harm to us as menstruators, to our health, which is worsening, the climate condition because of the plastic content that is there in them, right? These sanitary napkins actually, end up into the oceans and then are thrown back onto the beaches, right? So there's a partner that we work with, and they are very vocal into cleaning beaches. While we were having a conversation with him, he shared that the ocean never keeps all these things to itself. With its waves, it sends all these waste, or like the garbage that is dumped there, onto the beaches. And when they went on to clean these beaches, they found innumerable number of sanitary pads on the beaches, which again poses a sort of a risk to someone who is actually segregating this waste, right? And also, I think in a big way, climate change is something that is contributed through the use of plastic, right? So I think use cases enough for okay. So yes, I think that's the reason, but many medical products also have ingredients listed on them, like the catheters and all. There's a specific certification that is required. So for example, it's an FDA approved silicone is used in making catheters, or medical grade approved silicone. But who I don't know the approving body of the plastic or of the petroleum residues that are going into making these. I think we can really together start working on a big research on this. It'll be an interesting one. Great. So, moving forward to talk about the choices of product that are available. To switch to a sustainable option, of course, one is a cloth pad. It is a great option available. Have any of us tried a cloth pad before? In a yes or a no, has anyone tried? Right. So I think it is a very comfortable product. There's nothing bad about using a cloth pad, because now we get the best of quality of cotton cloth pads, not like the one that the community women, women in the underprivileged areas use, which is the last piece of rag, available in the house. So there's nothing bad about. So basically, cloth pads become susceptible to infection when they are not used mindfully. These products need to be washed and sun dried, right? Whereas, because of the entire taboo around menstruation, around periods, women who end up using these cloth napkins actually hide these when they have to be dried, right? So if they don't dry in the sun, and if they are dried in dingy, dark areas, I have heard from women when we go into the community that they dry the cloths that they use to manage their periods inside the tandoor, right? So imagine the kind of infection that they are exposing themselves to. If the cloth pad is used mindfully, washed properly, sun dried. Why sun dried? Because sun acts as a disinfectant. Nothing is better than a sun. Nothing is better than the sun for disinfection, right? So if it is used mindfully, then it is a great product. It is only related to susceptibility to infections when it is not used mindfully, right? Otherwise it's a great product. It can be used for one cloth pad can be used for about 2 to 3 years, can be washed and reused. The only problem is one, washing. It has to be washed thoroughly. And the second is that when you go out and you want to change it, where do we store it? We are yet to find a solution to that. Otherwise it's a great option, right? I know many women, I know many doctors who are friends and have been using this cloth pad, which is way more comfortable and way more safe, for the health of the menstruator. The next product is this is a decomposable pad. This is biodegradable. Why decomposable? This does not have any of the top layers, which is made of plastic. The entire napkin is decomposable, right? There are actually very less companies that are actually making these. What happens is that the top and the bottom layer are mostly plastic, and they start using organic cotton and start calling it biodegradable or decomposable. So when I say decomposable, a pad should get back to the soil in 3 to 6 months, right? This is a good option, uh, uh, you know for people who have the buying capacity, because this is expensive. Okay, one pad costs from somewhere between 15 to 25 rupees, right? So someone who chooses to use it, are mostly people who have the buying capacity. Okay. Any questions, guys? Anything anyone wants to know? Yes.
In terms of the disposable sanitary napkin, how effective is it in like terms of absorption, etc.? Because we see that with regular sanitary napkins, because of the plastic, because you mentioned the absorbent polymers that exist, it ensures that everything is locked and it's very like you feel secure, right? So is it the same for the disposable ones?
For the decomposable pad, it uses bamboo fiber, banana fibers as absorbents. Okay, and of course cotton. So they're equally at par.
All right.
Any other questions, guys? Shall we move forward? So let's talk about this. Do we know about a menstrual cup? How many of us have heard of a menstrual cup? Are there any users? Does anyone use a menstrual cup? Oh wow, hi. Okay, anyone else who uses a menstrual cup? Have you heard of a menstrual cup? Are there any people who have it and haven't used it? I had it for a couple of months and I did not use it. Okay, so I think there are a lot of yeses. Good. So happy to know. Also, it just makes me very excited when I know that people know about it. The product has been around since 1930, right? It has very recently, a couple of years back, has come to India. Otherwise, it literally has been around. It was invented in the 1930s by a Hollywood actress called Leona Chalmers. Talking a bit about what is this, how it looks, how it feels. Uh, so this is made up of medical grade silicone. Okay, silicone is an extract of the rubber plant. Okay, why this is medical grade? Because this is the same material that goes into making catheters or any other medical equipment that is inserted inside the body. Okay, this has some 4 air holes. If everyone can see, there are 4 air holes. This is hollow from inside. There are few striations at the end for easy grip, and this is the stem which acts as a navigator. Okay, it helps you locate the cup, helps you in removal, helps you in locating, all of that. Okay, silicone is inert in nature. Medical grade silicone is inert in nature. When I say inert, it means it does not react with any of the surfaces of my skin, right? If you wear fashion jewelry, many of us might have noticed there's some rashes, there's some itching sometimes that happens, right? Whereas when you end up wearing gold or silver, none of that happens. Why? Because those are inert in nature. They don't react with the skin. Of course, with the air, silver does, but with the skin, it doesn't. Okay? Same is with this, with the material of the cup. It is inert in nature, does not react with the skin or any part of the body. Okay? If you see the structure of the cup, of course, it can't rest in anywhere outside the body or outside the vaginal canal, like a sanitary napkin. Sanitary napkin goes here, right? To it absorbs menstrual fluid. Okay, whereas a cup collects menstrual fluid. It has to sit somewhere here, to actually be of any use. Okay, now how do we use it? Right, first of all, it comes in 3 sizes. This is a small size, which is about 15 ml. This is a medium, which is about 25, and this is a large. So if you can appreciate, you can see that there's a huge difference between the small and the medium cup, right? A small cup is can be used by menstruators up to the age of 24. Okay, if they haven't given childbirth. Okay, if anyone who's 20 has given childbirth, a medium cup, right? If you can also appreciate, the difference between the medium and the large is only the volume and not the diameter, right? The diameter is the same, the volume is different. This is larger. Okay, medium cup is super versatile, can literally be used by any age group, especially who are not new menstruators. A small cup is mostly recommended for new menstruators. Okay, so a medium is a very very versatile cup, very versatile size. So I will demonstrate with this size. Okay, now how to use it? We first need to wash our hands before using the cup. Hands washed, nails of the dormant hand should be trimmed. And the reason behind that is nail beds are actually a source of many microorganisms, right? And we don't want to introduce those microorganisms into the vaginal canal, right? So we need to wash our hands, clip our nails of the dormant hand, keeping one leg up on an elevated platform. Could be a stool, a chalky, we could just put down the cover of the a pot and keep one leg up there. Or if someone is very athletic, they can simply squat down. ठीक है? Squat down, relax your pelvic muscle. Don't be scared, right? Breathe, relax your pelvic muscle. Spread the labial lips. There's a lip sort of a structure here, right? We need to spread that with left hand. So for me, my dominant hand is right. So with my left hand, I spread my labial lips. I fold the cup. Now, how do we fold it? What I would recommend and I also use is a punch down fold, wherein you hold the cup in one hand, take one finger, punch down the entire one side of the cup so that it becomes this small. Okay. Also, another thing to remember, vagina is not a straight up canal. It's not like that. It's towards your back, right? So if you will try to insert the cup upwards, you will feel resistance of the anterior vaginal wall. It is not like that from inside, right? It is not, there's, it's not hanging. There's also a muscle here, right? So we have to insert the cup backwards. Okay, now how do we insert? We keep the cup at the face of the vagina. We, with one finger, push the cup as far as our finger goes, and the cup opens there. Two things about cup. Uh, if you are feeling the cup inside you, it means it has not been inserted properly. Okay. Second way, how you will know that you haven't inserted the cup properly is when you will see face leakage. Okay. If you stop feeling the cup inside you, it means you've inserted it completely properly. Okay. So these are the two things. Now, how do you remove? Any questions about inserting? I'll just repeat how you insert. You keep one leg up on an elevated platform. Spread your labial lips with one hand. Take the cup, fold into a punch down fold. There's also another fold which is a C fold. You press the two ends of the cup and fold it into a C or a U. If you see, there's a U and the C fold, right? But why I recommend the punch down fold? Because it automatically gets into the position of the vaginal canal. If you see, it looks like a 45-degree angle, right? So it becomes easier to insert. Okay. Now you keep the cup at the face of the opening of the vagina with one finger. Push the cup till wherever your finger goes. So if I have tiny fingers, there could be that the cup doesn't go up to the cervix, but by the time I wash my hands and come out of the toilet, it just rides up itself. Okay. Now, as you saw, the cup had folded here, right? There can be times when the cup just remains folded. How do you know that? When you will feel the cup inside. If you are not feeling, it means it has opened. Also, a way to check is through this stem. You tap at the base and the cup will open. Okay. Now, how do we remove? About removal, one thing, we don't have to pull at the cup. कि निकल निकल कैसे नहीं निकलेगा निकलेगा निकलेगा, right? We are not going to do that. ठीक है? The cup stays in its place due to two things. One, the vacuum that is created around these holes because of these holes, right? And the second, because the strength of the vaginal muscles. ठीक है? So how do we take this out? Again, we put our one leg up on the elevated platform. Breathe, relax your pelvic muscle. Look for this stem. Look for this stem with your finger. Tap at the base. Take the other finger and pull it out. Okay? Dump the menstrual fluid. Wash it with water and soap. Wash your hands and reinsert. Got it? Any questions, guys? Any questions? Anything anyone wants to ask?
I think the one thing about sanitary napkins that make it easier and more comfortable for people to use is the fact that if you're, for example, not at your house, then you can very easily dispose it and replace. So for something like a menstrual cup, I think the process of washing when you're probably not in the comfort of your home may be a lot. So what would you suggest for that?
Okay. Uh, so the cup can only be washed with water and reinserted. Can also be the fluid can also be dumped, and can be and the cup can be cleaned with a tissue paper or a wet wipe and reinserted. Okay. uh, there's no problem. Then once you reinsert it and you get back home, you can easily go back and wash with soap and water.
Okay.
Okay. I think there were a few questions here. So how many times can this cup be used? This cup can be used for 5 to 8 years, 10 years also if maintained properly. Okay. The cup, very good question. Thank you, Damini. How long can we use the cup for? I think initially when you start using the cup, uh, you will understand your menstrual flow better. On the sanitary napkin, we feel we bleed extremely, right? Why? Because it spreads on the sanitary napkin. When you will start looking at the fluid in the cup, you will actually know how much is your menstrual fluid, right? So initially when you start using, try and empty it after 4 to 6 hours on a day when you know you have heavy flow, right? For example, for me, I know first day is a heavy flow day, right? So I will empty it every 4 to 6 hours initially when I know that 4 hours में इतना भर जाता है, 6 hours में इतना भर जाता है, वो मुझे मुझे धीरे धीरे पता चल जाएगा about my own menstrual fluid, and then I can start using it for up to 8 hours, right? But let's be very mindful. When you start using a cup, personally, this is my personal experience, especially on the third and the fourth day when my menstrual fluid is lesser and there's no pain and all, I forget that I'm on my period. But we have to be very conscious to not use it beyond 8 hours. Same as with any sanitary product that you use, right? Let's be very, very mindful while we use these. Okay, let's not use them beyond 8 hours. Okay. uh, uh, so talking about sterilization, right? Sterilization does not happen with hot water, it happens with steam. Okay. So we can sterilize the cup once every cycle. Before the cycle begins, we can sterilize the cup. Okay. There are two ways we can do it. Actually there are multiple ways we can sterilize the cup. One, you can sterilize the cup in roll boiling water. When the water comes to a roll boil and there's steam, you put the cup in the vessel for 5 minutes, wash your hands. After 5 minutes, take out the cup and store it in this sort of a jute bag or any bag that comes with the cup. Okay. You can also sterilize this in the microwave. Take a microwavable cup or a glass, and now also we get microwave safe cup sterilizers. Okay. You can use them. Fill the sterilizer with water, put the menstrual cup there, put it on microwave for 5 minutes, take it out, wash your hands, take out the cup. Okay. The other thing that in the community especially, we mention, the cup can also be sterilized with chlorine tablets. Okay. Because in that, in the underprivileged areas with innumerable number of taboos around menstruation, they hide their period product. तो वो वेसल में तो क्या ही स्टरलाइज करेंगे, है ना? So we there's also chlorine tablets that can be used to sterilize this. You put 2 chlorine tablets in 1 mug of water and put the cup there, and then after 5 to 7 minutes take the cup out, wash it with normal water and keep it back in the bag. Okay. So this is required. Sterilization actually is required once in every cycle. Okay. So once before you start using it, please sterilize it. Great. Any questions, guys? We can just discuss a lot of queries that you guys might be having. Does anyone intend to start using a cup after the session? At least try it, right? So in my experience and how I started using the cup initially, whenever we turn or switch to a new product, there's apprehension, right? Imagine, or like get back into time and think of when we had started using sanitary napkins, or we were introduced to sanitary napkins. I think I was so furious because it was, this entire thought of why I need to use something which feels like a pillow down there, and that sort of a feeling. But slowly I got used to the product. So trying anything new takes some sort of time and some hand holding. I'll completely be happy to handhold you guys. I'm putting my email ID here. Whoever intends to use the cup can just write to me. And if you have any problem, issues, apprehensions, we can just discuss those.
I had one question regarding like a lot of, so I had an experience where we were at a trip and like all the girls were going to go swimming. So a lot of the people who were on their period decided to use a tampon for the first time. And I think that on its own acts as a problem is the fact that we're very afraid as like girls to put something into our vagina without any like advice or any type of supervision. So what will you suggest we do for like someone who's doing it for the first time and may probably be afraid of doing something like that? So how do you think we can solve this issue at a high school level probably?
Right. So, at a high school level, I think it is very important to make girls understand their bodies, right? There are many preconceived notions that we have that stop us from inserting something. For example, virginity, hymen, XYZ, all these things. So there are many preconceived notions. I think to clarify those are very important. Since the topic has started, just to clarify from a medical point of view, hymen is like a curtain. So when a baby is being nurtured in the womb, in the uterus, uh, and it turns out to be a woman, a girl, her genital or her vaginal canal is not developed. You know, when she's born, it is a piece of skin. Okay, as she grows, the vagina gets developed, and that piece of skin stays there. Okay, uh, even before she hits teenage, the skin goes away. Okay, and this can go away. It is not just about playing or cycling or swimming or doing all these things, but it goes away without even doing anything. Okay, it is that feeble. It is like a curtain. Okay, about bleeding for the first time when someone indulges in a sexual intercourse, that is because of friction, that is because of any sort of cuts or bruises. Okay, and not because of the hymen. Okay, uh, so that is about virginity. Can someone ever uh, tell us, or like ever know if a guy is a virgin or not? Many of you would say no, right? No one can tell us if a guy is a virgin or not, right? Same is for the girls also. The only person who can tell you if they're a virgin or not is they themselves. Okay, I think you guys would also uh, yes, it does exist, which is, I think, which is the worst thing. And that doesn't that is not only to do anything with the hymen. You guys would also know this better than I do. When there are rape cases or any sort of these sort of cases, uh, it is not only the hymen that is checked. It is the vaginal canal is checked for resistance, for cuts, for for all these kind of evidences, right? Also the semen samples. It is not only the hymen that is checked, which honestly the sad reality is that it is also the hymen that is checked. But yes, the finger test, exactly, that is what I was coming to. The sad reality is that the hymen is tested, but in the medical fraternity and the medical study that we've gone through, hymen is not a virginity test. Yes, yes, they aren't. I think a whole debate also started around this a couple of months back, that hymen should not even be a criteria for a rape test, right? Thank you, Tanisha, for bringing this. Yes, of course. In many women, the hymen is so so stretchable that it might even stay there after intercourse. Yes, it can be ruptured. That's what I was saying. Not even strenuous physical activity is required for hymen to be ruptured. चलते फिरते मतलब normally भी rupture हो सकता है. It is not as elastic and as as elastic for all women actually. Again, very different for different women. Great. Any other questions? Right. So I think Khushi, thank you for bringing this up. And talking about how we can actually take this to the high school level. I think it is very important for us to clarify all these preconceived notions. See, जब तक कोई कुछ कहता नहीं है तब तक हमें डर नहीं लग रहा होता, राइट? जब हम 10 चीजें सुनने लगते हैं कि नहीं ऐसा हो जाएगा, वैसा हो सकता है, वो हो सकता है, ये हो सकता है, तो लगता है नहीं नहीं हम ये नहीं कर सकते. ठीक है ना? So I think very important is to clarify these doubts, and also for your own self. For me, what I started to think was कि अगर ऐसा हुआ कि कप मुझे अपने हस्बैंड को बोलना पड़े कि भाई मैं तो कप फंस गया, अभी कभी नहीं निकलेगा, नो यू हैव टू टेक दिस आउट, right? So that was the apprehension that I had, and nothing like that happened. Okay. Also, people who intend to start using it, there can be a time when you start feeling कि भाई ये तो निकलेगा ही नहीं और ये यहीं रह जाएगा. So what you can do is try and get into a comfortable position where you keep one leg up on an elevated platform or you squat down. uh, you know Give yourself a little pressure like you would to pass stools. Okay, what will happen is the vacuum of the cup will become a little loose and you will be able to feel the stem. It will come a little down and then you can pinch at the base and take it out. uh, so Tanisha, tampons again are not environment friendly. They are not cost effective. They will again end up into landfills, right? At the end of the day, whatever you feel comfortable with, you should go on and use that. But if it is if it is about comparing or saying what is better, I would suggest a cup, because it is way more safer for the health of the menstruator. It is way more cost effective and environment friendly.
I think that brings us to the end of the questions. Um, Thank you so much for your time and this incredibly informative and intriguing presentation. I think your 5P method is something that I'm going to take forward personally and even spread to like people. And this has generated a lot of good questions and probably room for further research and debate for all of us attending the session right now. And I think personally, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you among us today. It's been a true honor to be able to moderate this session. And I think I can proudly say that after this afternoon, I've emerged as a responsible and aware citizen. Being among such accomplished individuals and interacting with you all has given me a true essence of what the law school experience will be, hopefully, in the next few months. And now, to bring this enjoyable afternoon to an unfortunate end, I would like to invite our respected convener, Vedant Vaishali Jayant, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Just a second. I have put a link to the feedback form in your chat box. I'll be grateful if you guys could fill that for us. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. We'll definitely fill out the feedback form.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Khushi. Honorable Vice Chancellor, Sir, Maharashtra National Law University, Mumbai, Professor Dr. Dilip Ukeji. Our esteemed Registrar, Sir, Maharashtra National Law University, Mumbai, Professor Dr. Anil Variaji. Coordinator for Center for Women, Child Rights and Gender Justice, Dr. Karuna Akshay Malviya, ma'am. Assistant Professor, Joint Coordinator, Shriya Mokta, ma'am. And all our participants, and our esteemed chief guest, Dr. Arushi Khera Malutra ji. Thank you very much for attending today's webinar. And I deem it my esteemed privilege to present the vote of thanks on behalf of Center for Women, Child Rights and Gender Justice. Thank you very much, Professor Shriya Mukta ma'am, to give the welcome address. I'm thankful for the worthy panelist, Dr. Arushi Khera ma'am, to give us a thought-provoking presentation. Ma'am, as you in the initial webinar said that you're happy that boys are also present in this sustainable menstruation webinar. I think, ma'am, I'm feeling proud that we are in the way of gender justice because, ma'am, in 10th standard, we are introduced to this reproductive system and menstruation. But unfortunately, because of the so-called taboo, our biology teacher also doesn't teach us so well, just like you taught us by showing us the entire dummy model and demonstrating everything. So, ma'am, I think the awareness campaign is also necessary for boys also, as it is necessary for the girls, because there should be awareness and the so-called taboo should be erased from the society, and it should be a new normal, and it should be accepted by all. And the most important thing which you highlighted, that we are also destroying our environment, the very important thing which you pointed out. So we would also love, ma'am, if you could share your PPT so that we could include some of the points in our newsletter, which is going to be published in the month of February. And the theme of the newsletter is intersection COVID-19 and health. So it's very related to today's webinar. So it would be great if you could share the PPT with us.
Absolutely, I'll do that. No problem.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Registrar Sir, for joining
Thank
us.
you, sir.
Would you like to speak?
No, I just came to express my thanks. That's all.
Thank you so much, sir, for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Can we have a photo? Everyone can maybe switch on their cameras and we can have a commemorative, nice
Otherwise,
memory.
please switch on the videos and switch on the cameras and have a photo now.
Yes, ma'am. I'll take a photo.
Yeah.
Okay,
Please.
done.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, ma'am.